Chapter 42. The campus in the late night was quiet and silent, darkness covered the ground. A gust of wind blew, rustling the leaves in the forest in the distance. In an empty classroom, Siddle silently looked at the hand-drawn map in front of him, lost in thought. On the white paper, between the undulating mountain peaks drawn simply in black ink, the route drawn in red completely avoided all the cave sites registered with the National Association. Following the winding and undulating mountain road, the more you turned, the more you deviated, going around to a small corner behind the mountain. This cave is an unexplored place. Do you know what that means? Speaking up to hear, Pansy looked extremely excited. I haven't explored inside yet. As long as we are the first to discover it, this cave might even be named after us. The boy cleared his throat and continued, you guys are all my good friends, that's why I brought you along, otherwise I would have gone alone. Siddle. Good friends. What a good friend, I really want to be the boss. Pansy's plan was to hide from the supervisor after 12 o'clock tomorrow night, sneak out of school, and then start exploring the cave behind the mountain. Late at night, wild mountains, unexplored underground caves, kids. All the elements are there. After the boy finished babbling, he didn't forget to take out the backpack he had prepared. I've prepared all the supplies for cave exploration, you guys just need to follow me. The two boys standing next to him looked excited and eager, as if they were ready to set off as soon as the order was given. Boys at this age were full of energy. Hearing about adventurous activities would inevitably make their blood rush to their heads. Siddle looked at the map over and over again, and conveniently looked through Pansy's notes about the topographic survey in her notebook. Very good, the notebook even had names written on it. It would be more convenient to report. She folded the map and placed it with the notebook, looking at Pansy, who was still very excited. Your suggestion is very interesting, I will consider it. Do you mind if I take these things to take a closer look? Siddle smiled gently and asked. No, no problem. Pansy waved her hand in confusion, her ears turning red unconsciously. Siddle, who had always treated him as heir, was now smiling at him. And smiling so gently. Siddle nodded, gently said goodbye to the three of them, took the map and Pansy's notebook and left. Then early the next morning, she took the two things and knocked on the door of the teacher's room. Teacher, I want to report. Someone violated school rules and left school without permission. During dinner, Pansy went to Siddle in a rage. The boy's eyes were red, and he glared at Siddle angrily. We agreed to go on an expedition together, but you secretly reported it to the teacher. I despise you. I didn't expect you to be such a person. The boy said angrily, you're not my friend anymore. Siddle corrected him, we were never friends. She slowly cut a piece of steak, chewing while saying, but if you want to change the way you address me, I don't mind being your father. After all, saving one life is better than building 7 stupas. Siddle looked up, her cold blue eyes seemed to contain a creepy smile. She said listlessly, although I have no intention of adopting a child, but if you want to thank me for my kindness and return to your ancestors, I don't mind. Pansy shuddered, not knowing what this proverb meant, but he was still provoked by Siddle, and finally left with a stomach full of resentment and grievance. What else could he do? He couldn't scold him, he couldn't hit him, other than leaving a neutral sentence to show his will to absolutely not submit to the teacher. There was nothing else he could do. The consequence of this incident was that Pansy and the other 3 were called to the teacher's office to talk, but the school also called in a research expert from the National Cave Association and a professional explorer. As for Pansy, the one who discovered the cave, he actually still had the right to name it, although he had lost the right to be the first person to explore there. Siddle had no way of knowing what was inside the cave. But, later, it was said that those experts had found a lot of human bones in the cave. It seemed that no one had ever set foot there, it was just that the people who had entered had all died, so this cave had never been discovered. All of this could be discussed later, not mentioned for now. Not long after, Siddle also quickly paid the price for secretly reporting her friend to the teacher. She was also called in by the teacher to talk. On the way back to the dormitory, Siddle suddenly heard a notification sound on her phone. Ding ding ding, she pressed it and saw that it was a text message from an unknown number. The content of the message made one think. Do you want to own a game that allows you to experience absolute freedom? Do you want to find a little excitement in your dull and boring life? If you want to feel your heart pounding, scream in terror, and experience the real, incomparable horror, then you will definitely download it without hesitation. Just enter the game for 7 days, and you will definitely die. A link is attached below. Siddle. Thanks for the invitation, I don't want to play. She still wanted to live. Siddle indifferently exited the message interface, pressing delete on the message without hesitation. Seeing this message disappear, Siddle breathed a sigh of relief. She returned to the dormitory and prepared to go to sleep. Suddenly, she remembered that the TS handheld game that Janet had given her was still next to her pillow. Why play that horror game that made people cringe? Weren't romance games better? Siddle was extremely excited to open the package and take out the brand new TS handheld game inside. However, before she could turn it on, a rotating circle automatically appeared on the dark screen. Siddle. After a few seconds, the handheld game turned on. The screen was distorted for a moment but quickly returned to normal. Siddle saw a game icon lying quietly in the middle of the blank screen. On the dark background, 3 blood-red words appeared. Nanisher no game, in Chinese, death after 7 days. Behind the words, there was a vicious, blood-stained eyeball staring wide open. Amazing, this game could even maliciously infiltrate here. Looking at the name of the game couldn't be clearer. For a moment Siddle was so angry that she burst out laughing. Because this game console couldn't be used anymore, Siddle felt a little heartbroken. She was about to get out of bed to throw it away when she suddenly saw a round-faced, brown-haired girl standing in front of the door. That girl was Yuna, a member of the class committee. Seeing Siddle get out of bed, her eyes lit up. Siddle, I'm looking for you. What do you want from me? Siddle held the game console and walked over. Yuna whispered, Miss Julie Baker called you to her office. Siddle, okay, I know. She nodded to show that she understood and asked, do you know why the teacher is looking for me? I don't know, Yuna shook her head, but the teacher's expression is very serious. Unlike the homeroom teacher, Ms. Julie Baker was the main instructor responsible for supervising their homework. Siddle was always considered an excellent student, and was very popular with the teachers. Siddle pondered, deciding to go see Julie first. It wouldn't take much time anyway. She was a little confused as to why the teacher was looking for her. It wasn't until she met Julie that Siddle realized how wrong her idea of, it wouldn't take much time, was. Not only was Julie's expression very serious, her eyes were sharp, her gaze glancing at Siddle as if filled with desire. Do you know what your total score was on this test? Siddle, yes. Julie pulled out a test and threw it into Siddle's hand. She took it and looked at it. Oh my God, the whole article is full of red slashes. Siddle's feelings at this moment were hard to describe. The hand holding the test paper was shaking slightly. She wondered if Mason had also taken away her brain. Since her rebirth, she had never made so many mistakes on a test. However, when Siddle looked more closely, she realized that something was wrong. Teacher, she looked closely at the test paper again. This isn't my original answer. My test paper was changed. The person who changed her answer was definitely very familiar with her handwriting. Even Siddle didn't realize it at first. However, after she looked closely, she discovered the mistake. The person who copied Siddle's handwriting to change the test paper must have been very familiar with her, even living with her day and night, constantly following her every step. Thinking back to last night when Jacqueline left the dormitory, Siddle already had an answer in her heart. She didn't explain to the teacher. After briefly clarifying the situation, she quickly left the office. Siddle didn't mention the suspect Jacqueline to Ms. Julie. She was currently confused by Jacqueline's IQ. This kind of framing method was too unwise. This shouldn't be Jacqueline's normal level. unless something had happened to her, causing her to panic to the point where she couldn't use her normal IQ. Siddle walked out of the office, past the corner of the hallway and saw Jacqueline standing not far away. The girl had dark brown curly hair that was almost covered by the shade. She saw Siddle come out and wanted to turn around and run away, but she quickly caught up. With a calm expression, Siddle grabbed Jacqueline's wrist and pulled her into a corner of the school despite her struggles. Waiting until they reached a secluded place, Siddle smiled faintly and opened the test paper, placing it in front of Jacqueline. "Because you hate me, you resorted to such despicable tricks? If you want to surpass me on the scoreboard," she squinted her eyes and said with a cold smile, "you can tell me, I won't mind giving you the top spot." Since Siddle always took first place in the comprehensive test, Jacqueline could only take second place. The sky was gloomy, the dark shade seemed to cover the distant mountain all the way here. A gust of wind blew. Siddle heard the rustling of leaves from the forest on the mountain. The mountain road was constantly undulating, the trees grew close together and gathered into a dense area, as if there was a ferocious beast lurking there, greedily choosing who to bite. She suddenly shivered when she saw Jacqueline in the shade. Her originally calm expression became panicked for no reason. It screamed and shook Siddle's hand away, its cold eyes filled with hatred. The shrill scream made Siddle gasp, his eardrums aching. Then she heard Jacqueline sobbing angrily. "You don't understand, you don't know anything.